Heredity and Evolution. Learning about inherited traits. Inherited traits. Mendel chose pea plants for studying inheritance because pea plants had a number of clear-cut differences which were easy to tell apart. For example, some pea plants were tall, having long stem, whereas others were dwarf, having short stem. Some pea plants produced round green seeds, whereas others produced wrinkled yellow seeds, etc. He chose pea plants as they were self-pollinating, which enabled them to produce next generation of plants easily. Rules for the inheritance of traits. Mendel's contribution. Monohybrid inheritance and the law of segregation. Mendel's first crossed purebred tall pea plant with purebred dwarf pea plant. He found that only tall pea plant was produced in the first generation of F1 generation. No dwarf plants or short pea plant were obtained in the first generation of progeny, offspring. From this, Mendel concluded that the first generation or F1 cross showed the traits of only one of the parent plant, tallness. The trait of the other parent plant, dwarfness, did not show up in the progeny of first generation. Mendel then crossed the tall pea plants of the generation F1 generation and found that tall plants and dwarf plants were obtained in the second generation or F2 generation in the ratio 3:1. In other words, in the F2 generation, 3/4 plants were tall and 1/4 were dwarf. Mendel noted that the dwarf trait of the parent pea plant, which had seemingly disappeared in the first generation progeny, reappeared in the second generation. Mendel called the repressed trait of dwarfness as recessive trait and the expressed trait of tallness as the dominant trait. The result of monohybrid cross enabled Mendel to formulate his first law of inheritance, which is called the law of segregation. According to Mendel's first law of inheritance, the characteristics or traits of an organism are determined by internal factors which occur in pairs. Only one of the pair of such factors can be present in a single gamete. Dihybrid inheritance and the law of independent assortment. Dihybrid inheritance involves the inheritance of two pairs of contrasting characteristics or contrasting traits at the same time. The two pairs of contrasting characteristics chosen by Mendel were shape and color of the seeds, round yellow seeds, wrinkled green seeds. Mendel made the following observations. In order to trace the inheritance of two pairs of contrasting traits, Mendel first crossed purebred pea plants having round yellow seeds with purebred pea plant having wrinkled green seeds and found that only round yellow seeds were produced in the first generation. No wrinkled green seeds were obtained in the F1 generation. From this, it was concluded that the round shape and yellow color of the seeds were dominant traits over the wrinkled shape and green color of the seeds. When the F1 generation pea plants having round yellow seeds were crossbred by self-pollination, then 4 types of seeds having different combinations of shape and color were obtained in second generation of F2 generation. These were round yellow, round green, wrinkled yellow, and wrinkled green seeds. According to Mendel's second law of inheritance, in the inheritance of more than one pair of traits in a cross simultaneously, the factors responsible for each pair of traits are distributed independently to the gamete. Summary. Changes in the non-reproductive tissues caused by environmental factors are not inherited. Speciation may take place when variation is combined with geographical isolation. That is all in this topic, students. Now let us learn about characteristics or traits transmitted to progeny in our next topic.